from the podcast, Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk. It's Grant's Rants Small Talk. Real Housewives of New York City Rundown.
Let the ranting begin on this 30-minute or less Real Housewives of New York City Rundown. I am joined by Moni from Mixing with Moni, the podcast. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about New York. Let's just get right into it. First of all,
yes.
I believe I gave New York a B+ last week. What did you think of the premiere? Very briefly, but what did you make of it?
I thought the premiere was good. I thought we were in a good place, starting off fresh, as if we never left them.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I'm happy with it. And so far, this episode is pretty damn good, too.
I like this one even better than the premiere.
Really? Okay. Oh, good. Then I'm glad I have you on. Okay, then let's talk about it. Season 12, Episode 2, Stooping to a Lower Level. Before we get to that said lower level, we see Sonia and Tinsley at this city vineyard, which I looked up and, I'd do anything to go there, especially tonight. And I know New York isn't the most desirable place right now, but I could really use a glass of wine. It just looked beautiful. I would love to go to this place. I love New York so much, so that's just a common thing. I think that's why I'm so drawn to the show. I just love seeing the city, and it's late summer. Everything just looks so nice.
I loved the rooftop feel of what they were doing. I also found it hilarious that they were technically arguing as the waitress was coming up trying to take their wine orders. And Tinsley, the only thing she stops for was yes, I will have a glass of Pinot Grigio. Oh, loved it.
I know that poor awkward exchange with that person. Oh my God, the waitress, whomever, just standing up. Yeah, are you ready? The worst, those poor people. And she's on camera too.
It's so awkward.
I bet she didn't think she would be doing that when she woke up in the morning. But we're right into them talking about Dorinda calling Tinsley a liar. They get right into it. Leah joins, and she's equally turned off by Dorinda, and we learn that Sonia is not into tattoos. And I never thought that this was going to be the theme for the rest of the episode.
Oh my God. I never thought we were going to take this. This was going to be a through line, the entire plot. The amount of energy we spent on these damn tattoos, all because, Sonia was riveted that Leah had so many and floored that she didn't know Tinsley had one.
Oh. And didn't they live together, quote unquote?
Right. All this I know. And wasn't that the conversation? It was, Dorinda doesn't know you, but I know you, but she don't even know she has a tattoo.
Right. I can't believe where we're going to go with this tattoo theme. We flash over to the Hamptons, though. Ramona is hosting, and Lou is still not drinking, being very obvious about the fact that she's not drinking. But Lou tells Ramona that she wants to have a boyfriend. So this is news. I don't know what boyfriend is going to put up with this cabaret, having to sit through the cabaret 10 times a month.
Also, Luann is historically not great with boyfriends. Most of this cast isn't, so I'm curious as to where this is coming from. But maybe that's her new vice. She doesn't really want to drink right away, so she wants some love.
Good point. Good point. One thing I will point out to listeners is Moni knows this show inside and out. You know the history so deeply. This is why you're perfect for this. You're in good hands. I want to point out that Ramona is putting together a storyboard, but didn't she mean a vision board?
The amount of things this cast gets wrong about everything. They spend so much time in confessionals going, it's not self-deprecating. It's not touche. Is it? No, you say word. And I'm like, oh, these poor old ladies. I love them so dearly. It's like talking to your mother and trying to get her, she uses the wrong gif or something. Mom, that's not what you think it means.
A storyboard. Someone's talking to some story producers over at Bravo Media, because that's a term that's used in film, almost I think exclusively. Even if you were to put together a board with aspiring images of men or homes that you want to buy, I don't know what about that would be considered a storyboard. Whatever.
She definitely meant vision board, but Ramona, always trying to keep it cool, but constantly reminding us that she is not as young as she looks, honey.
Oh, yes. That seems to be a common theme with all these people, even the pearl clutching later with the tattoos. But I will say, Ramona says in classic Ramona fashion, let's face it, how many people get arrested? And she said, of course, they bonded over their arrests, meaning, Leah and Lou, they had their moment. I figured Lou would give Leah the most amount of attention, at the beginning. So that, they're in a good place.
Ramona, your whole damn cast gets arrested. So this idea of who gets arrested, a lot of people, and they're in the Upper East Side, okay, but they're not like in Mayberry. Things go down in New York. Your whole cast has the most amount of mugshots. It's okay. It's the thing to do if you're in New York.
That's true. Even just thinking of Jules, former Real Housewife Jules, and she's got hers in Palm Beach. Anyway, Ramona's house in the Hamptons, always nice to see, always very clean.
Gorgeous.
I enjoy the home. But we are, as beautiful as the setting is, it's interrupted by all the screaming to get Coco to eat a carrot.
I just find it so funny. Maybe Coco remembers or has gotten wind of what Ramona said last week, where she was like, waking up to Coco in bed is not enough.
Oh, yeah, she's icing her out. she's got the little yellow.
Coco's old.
Things. Yeah,
Coco is old, older than I thought she was.
I don't. Do we know the exact age?
I think they mentioned it at some point. I think she's like 13 or something.
Oh, wow.
I could be making that up, but we've known Coco for years.
I love that Doug is still around. Dorinda said that she initially snubbed Leah because she was Tinsley's friend. Always classy. Nice move. Especially, they must know that she's going to be part of the cast. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I've heard rumors, though, that originally she was supposed to be introduced by Bethany, and I figured that wasn't much better for Dorinda. So either way, I think Dorinda was like, no matter who, I don't want anything to do with this new girl, especially if she's coming in as Tinsley's, right-hand man, as pretty much that's all Leah did at Dorinda's party was go, oh, right. What? Right. Burn. I loved it.
Well, now Lou, she just can't get over the fact that she's leaving her own home in Sag Harbor to stay at Ramona's house. She just can't get over it.
Yes, her roundhouse.
Oh, that's the other one. That's the one upstate. Doesn't she have
right.
two?
She has so many houses.
Yeah.
I wrote down Luann is spending no time in the city, which I find so entertaining. Is that because it's too much cabaret? She can't be close to where she works.
Yeah, too much of that celebrity life. Oh, please. She can't get over the fact that she's staying there, but basically she's going to have her own private space. It's set up and sold to her it's going to have your own entrance, your own entertainment center. And where is it? It's in the basement.
The basement.
Very,
no, I'm sorry,
East
the
Coast
lower
basement.
level.
Yes, the lower level. Very much so a finished basement if I've ever seen one, and I've seen many growing up on the East Coast, and that is a finished basement.
It's a very finished basement. It looks beautiful. I mean, most people, especially if you have basements, unless you buy it finished, it's like the thing that never gets done, okay? And I grew up with basements. We probably finished one in my entire lifetime. So Luann should be a little grateful. There was a new box of Colgate on the bathroom sink, and she had her on TV, and she got too cold, and Ramona was literally like, you can't change the temperature.
I think
it's a prison. You're stuck.
I would basically I get that they're part of the show, and I'm sure she was highly encouraged to stay there. But I'm someone that has to go back to their own place. So I really need to do that. I don't think I could spend the night, especially if I knew I was staying in someone's basement. I'd say, this is nice. I'll put my day bag down here. Maybe I'll take a nap, but I'm not going to stay over. I'm not.
Especially if she lives close. I mean,
right.
If she's in the same area, if they all took a trip to the Hamptons from the city, that's one thing. But it's not like they're going to the Berkshires, okay? She has a home not so far.
Right.
She can meet you guys for dinner and for drinks or club soda or whatever, but she doesn't need to stay in a basement. It was a little shady.
Do you feel bad that she feels as though she's the lowest on the totem pole?
I mean, I do think Luann is always full of shit, and overestimates her importance in most situations. I mean, fast forward to when she basically gives another toast about how much she's been through this past year. But when it comes to rooms, she might have a point. She does get like the lower end, like this, what is it, the short end of the stick for
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah.
every trip they go on.
So when Dorinda comes on, she says that, I see no evil, but I'm going to speak evil to Tinsley. Like, again, Dorinda is like writing down these lines in like the iPhone notes section. She's just like thinking about these one-liners when she's not in season.
Her great influence is Tyler Perry. Let's not forget.
Oh,
She used that Tyler Perry quote. So maybe she has him, writing things for her as he is that great screenwriter. He's writing her script.
that is a good point. I forgot about that lovely quote, Tyler Perry. So we learned that we knew about this, of course, the Bluestone Manor flood that happened. She has talked about this in the past. Apparently it was a big mess. And she seems to be very overwhelmed. She said she's doing everything and nothing well, which I can relate to in certain aspects when I'm really underwater in my projects. So like she's really at the end, but here's what's interesting. She claims that she wants to be carefree and for someone to come in and make it all better. Well, who does that sound like to you? Tinsley.
Mm-hmm.
And there's where that jealous bitch, as Tinsley called her last week, that's where that comes in my opinion.
I completely agree. I think that she gives me, I know you don't watch Vanderpump Rules, but I've had a lot of people
Unfortunately,
say,
I do. Unfortunately, I really do.
well, I don't. So fortunately, I don't anymore. I started with it and I just decided to give it up this year. I couldn't stay on the ride. But people have often said that Jax hates Ariana so much because it's secretly the life he always wanted. No one rushing him to have kids. No one rushing him to get married. He doesn't have to like pretend to be something that he isn't, which is like this family dad guy. I think Dorinda is doing the exact same thing to Tinsley. She secretly wanted to be well taken care of and have the love of her life and not really have to do much. And Tinsley was already rich and has a man that wants to give her more. And Dorinda can't stand it.
She even said that she's been mean to everyone. And then Tinsley comes over the table and Sonia, she tries to insert herself. And it's like, yeah, she's even admitted that she's been mean to everyone, as if to kind of have some sort of olive branch situation occur from this. And Dorinda did not admit that to Tinsley, that because she's so overwhelmed, she's been lashing out and being mean to people. Now, she didn't give that satisfaction to Tinsley. Did you catch that?
I did catch that. And I think that Dorinda said that to Sonia in confidence as an explanation, but Dorinda is too prideful to admit that to the people that she's actually been mean to, because she can, when she blows up, she can be ruthless.
Yeah. She can. She's got a sharp tongue on her. And I think a lot of it has to do with the cameras. A lot of people blame the drinking. I still think that she is trying to get as many gifts made and t-shirts made of herself, and it is a little tiring.
Yeah, she needs to kind of hang it up a little bit. And it seems as if she, though she is stressed and frustrated, acknowledging that you're bitchy doesn't excuse you being bitchy. It's like Ramona constantly says every year that she's a work in progress, but we never see the progress. It's like, okay.
That's a good point. True. Speaking of Ramona, she does have a moment where I'll give her some credit. She actually did connect with Leah, and they talked about kind of having a rough start. They each are self-made women. They connected in her kitchen. It seemed to be pretty genuine, under very ingenuine circumstances or disingenuous circumstances where it's like she's having Leah, who she really doesn't even know, because Leah's cast on the show. She's staying over Ramona's private home, which just seems kind of silly to me. But whatever, they made the effort. I can't believe that Leah was well received by Ramona to start.
I'm shocked. I think that it is the most Ramona. I think Leah got a little bit of coaching or something going on at first, because she brought her candles. It was from some brand or boutique that she really likes. And that doesn't seem coincidental because it's New York. It's like the fashion capital, shopping capital of the US. So
Mhm.
I think she probably had a little bit of help with that, but it was a really nice gesture for her to do that. And Ramona, of course, would do the most Ramona thing possible and say that she likes this girl, but her because of her hat choices, she has her reservations.
Right.
And I'm just like, Ramona, that's not how this works. She's like, I like her. And so what about your hat? Like, what is this? This
15
is going to make
minutes.
me reserve if I like you or not.
Right. She called it interesting. I mean, the woman's out in the Hamptons. I didn't see a problem with the hat.
It's a hat. It's a bucket hat. It's like a fancy ass bucket hat. That is the most New York thing I've ever seen.
That hat, I don't know how much it costs, but it must be very expensive. I just get a vibe.
Has to be.
I just get a vibe. I mean, it would be stupid if she went on TV and she found it like on the ground in Chinatown. You know what I mean? Like, I imagine
Absolutely.
that's a top shelf hat. Even though I also found it interesting, but I didn't like hate it. But Ramona couldn't believe that she agrees with someone who has tattoos. Oh. There's that Ramona stinger right there. A tramp stamp. You can when you just if you don't know the name, just bend her over. At the beginning of the episode, though, what's her face? Leah said that she's heard this a million times. Oh, everyone says that. Just turn me up, bend me over, and you'll get my name. So, but when Dorinda says it, that's a low blow.
It seems that Dorinda's energy is often, so misconstrued, but also there was a little bit of prejudgment, I think, on Leah's part. And of course, the girl is going to then think that Dorinda is coming for her because Dorinda's energy is really hard to figure out sometimes.
Especially now. Like, she's all over the place. I don't know how to feel about her, to be honest with you. And I like Dorinda, but she's all over the place. Ramona totally manipulated Tinsley and Leah to clean up the backyard.
Oh, for sure. It's so weird because, and then she made that comment about how, when she was growing up or something, like people cleaned up after themselves.
Yeah, they don't know
and
how to
everything.
entertain. Yeah, they don't know how to entertain.
You are the host. It's going to happen.
I can't believe that. Like, what's her face? Tinsley, who doesn't even have a voice, is having to run around and taking used plates of fruit, and she's just sitting there pouring herself a drink. Ramona, I don't know how you get away with it. I don't know how people like that have friends. Sonia tells Tinsley that what was I going to say? Sonia tells Tinsley that she's going to take Dorinda's side when it comes to this argument, the feud that they have. And Leah is not taking Dorinda's excuse of being in a bad place. She's just not taking it. She's like, well, guess what? So am I. I just heard from my daughter. I'm not feeling good either. Which I like in a way because, the thing is, right now, Leah doesn't have the loyalty and the friendship, so she could cut through all the BS, where others, they have a lot of sympathy because they know that they've been friends forever. Leah is just not that invested, and it's okay.
And it is okay because she's like, how much leniency am I supposed to give to these people? They're not giving me any. I'm brand new to them, and they're expecting me to treat them with the same amount of distance, grace, and respect and stuff as if I've known them forever. But they're not even doing the same thing to me. So I can kind of understand why she's like, okay, so she has a lot going on. We all have a lot going on. This show is not our whole lives, obviously.
Right. Before they go out, Ramona and Luann are both wearing bell bottoms. What is this?
What is and it's the nerve of these people to talk about Leah's hat and we're wearing bell bottoms.
Good
It's
point.
the quickest way to age you, other than being in a Forever 21 fashion shoot that goes wrong. What are y'all? And they bonded over it, and I just would never have been proud of wearing a bell bottom in my life.
I think Lou is wearing distressed denim too, which is even more out. Really? Well, I just don't understand. I mean, again, I have not gone out in the Hamptons, but from me, if I were to go out to a restaurant and the venue did look very nice, I don't think I would wear denim jeans.
Yeah, me neither. But if I did, it would not be a bell bottom and it would not be distressed. Maybe a
No.
dark wash, maybe a black or something, or a skinny, something that was a little bit more tailored, but not something that was purposely I don't know, mimicking one of the most questionable periods of fashion in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I didn't need to see the bell bottoms. And apparently Sonya went out wearing a bathing suit top.
Yeah, then like popped it and like flashed the waiter. It was hilarious. But while we're on the topic of fashion, quick little insert. I did find the hat that Leah was wearing. It is $80.29.
Okay, that's less than I thought, but still, I mean, I wouldn't pay it.
Yeah, it's from a Swedish brand called Ida Clamborn. If anybody wants to go buy that and wear it in the Hamptons.
Interesting.
Just don't let Ramona see you.
Yeah. Apparently it's a visor too, so who knew? 2 for 1. Dorinda now she's downstairs. They're getting ready to leave. She's accusing Leah of making generalizations about her. But Leah said, well, you made generalizations about me. And I got to take Leah's side with this one because Dorinda really has made no effort. And she's standing there in the front entryway with her arms crossed, looking down on Leah. That's not someone that exactly is warm and inviting.
Yeah, not at all. And I feel like the reason why Leah came in on the defense is because she almost felt like she had to. There was really no other option. They spent majority of the afternoon talking about her body parts and the choices that she made to put on her body parts. Of course, she's going to be on the defense and come in a little hot.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Leah's not going to she's not going to be hazed. She's not going to be hazed by this group, and she seems to be very unimpressed by Dorinda, and I don't really blame her in that sense. Again, I like Dorinda. I hate that I'm still just hating on her so much because I definitely feel sympathy for her with the cost of Bluestone Manor and the flood and just it sounds like a nightmare. But to behave that way with someone you just met, come on, you can't do that. Just because you're going through a tough time, people are trying to have a good time. You all have to share that house. How bad could it be?
And I don't think it's as much of a tough time as Dorinda does not handle stress well and does not handle threats well. And because she's treating Leah as she treated Bethany with the what is it, the Nutcracker thing, and wouldn't let that
classic.
Go. And now with Tinsley and this Scott thing and these people that she knew and before Bluestone Manor flooded. I think that Dorinda just can kind of get fixated and kind of won't let up, and she goes off her vibes. If she doesn't like the vibe you give out, she is going to literally give it to you bad for the rest of the time she knows you.
Mm-hmm. At the dinner table, Lou, she's using the metaphor of a volcano with ashes and dust that have covered the other women, and that she is sad for her friends, but she was taking care of herself and she's there to make amends. And I kind of thought had already been said, but Sonya thought it was a great thing that she acknowledged it and she had to acknowledge it. I mean, I hope we're done with the apology tour now, because I actually am really kind of over the Luann arrest and Palm Beach storyline, so I hope that's done, please. I thought it was done last week.
I thought it was done last year. Like, the way she's been, this has been the toughest year of my life. And, this has been the toughest year of my life. And if you didn't know, I was having a really tough year. And I'm like, we get it. We know. We literally all saw. And you were having a tough year before the arrest, sweetie. You were having a tough few years. Get your head out of your ass. The amount of time she spends on herself. It's like she wants to make this production out of her not drinking, out of her being arrested and getting off probation. We have moved on, and you should too. Live a new life now.
Yes. But I do love the theatrics of the volcano and the ash. Oh, it was just covered in dust. I was like, oh,
reminded me of Portia's tagline on Atlanta. She's risen like a phoenix and she's saying, bye, ashes.
I love that because that was such a classic fight between her and Kenya, one of the originals. Oh, I did love that because that gif lives on. I just love that gif. Bye, Ashy. Ramona now claims that she's not an alcoholic, but she does have a problem. She's too social.
That was a little diggy.
Yeah, and of course the camera cut right to Lou and her reaction, which Lou is like Teflon at this point too when it comes to Ramona and the stinger. I mean, you're not going to shock her at this point. And Ramona will never learn. She'll never learn.
She's a work in progress. You know, what do you want?
Now, Sonia was accused of stirring the pot, which I think she really enjoyed. Do you think she stirred the pot with, going back and forth and repeating what was said between Tinsley and Dorinda?
I think that if she was stirring the pot, it was definitely done unintentional. I think Sonia just won't keep her mouth shut. Like, she's not one of those people who are quiet. Tinsley pretty much told Leah as soon as Sonia left the room, she said, do not tell her how you feel about things, because she's going to run upstairs and tell Dorinda. And that's exactly what she did. Was she stirring the pot? I don't know. I just love how Dorinda was the one that called it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least Sonia's honest.
Right. I mean, I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing, because, like, you have to look at loyalty, right? Sonia did say to Tinsley that she's going to take Dorinda's side in this argument, because she sat with Dorinda.
She said, I'm going to tell her everything.
Yeah.
She even told Leah, I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell her everything. I love Dorinda.
Right. At least she was honest about it. I don't think it was necessarily like a backstab moment, but I mean, we've seen women do far worse on this show. And who knew that the cardinal sin would be to have tattoos? They just can't get over it. My final thought on that is, Leah, it's not like she's covered in tattoos and has this big neck tattoo like she said, or like her whole back, or like a big sleeve. Like, she doesn't have offensive tattoos or words, or like 666 on her forehead. I mean,
the tramp stamp is her name,
and she's getting rid of it.
And Sonia liked it at first. She was like, this is what you do to make sure that the people that you have sex with remember your name. And I'm like, that's funny. Like, that's exactly where I thought this was going to end. Somehow that turned into Dorinda saying, I heard you got it for that reason. And I'm like, okay, we are going so far left. Why are we even talking about tattoos in 2020? Like, who cares?
Oh,
and Dorinda to say, I grew up thinking the people who had tattoos were going to kidnap you. And I was like, I literally spit out my wine. I was like, we are far from the truth. What are we talking about?
Final thoughts. Let's get into our final moments here. Ramona scoping the room. We had about maybe 3 seconds of just the wide-eyed staring, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, my final thoughts were, I just found it hilarious that Ramona really wants to be a socialite so bad. For the people who give Tinsley the most amount of I think they all secretly want to be what she was brought on the show as, which is this rich socialite girl. And Ramona is walking into a room thinking that she knows everyone, and practically sitting on the edge of her seat at the dinner that she's hosting to go off to another venture and talk to new people. And I'm just like, are you a socialite or are you a social climber?
Yeah, that's very accurate. I agree. The phone ringing at the table, like, this is why I say this show is entertaining, because there's no producing Ramona. There's just no way around it. She is going to go on her own mission, no matter what.
Because I can't imagine how many times the producers have tried to be like, you have to be here. And we spent at least 2 seasons watching her leave whole casting and filming events to go on dates. She's like, and I'm going on my own. You're not coming with me. And I'm like, Ramona's going to do what Ramona wants to do. That's exactly what you said on my show the other day.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's promote that. So if you like our back and forth on this recap, please check out my episode with Monty on her podcast.
Yes, it was so much fun having you on, talking all things premiere. And we talked about Scary Island and how much, pretty much, if anything, we just proved Ramona cannot be produced. It's the same dynamic, the exact same amount of fun that we've had with RHONY from the beginning to now. And the reason why this show is a cut above the rest.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time, but please check her out on her podcast, Mixing with Monty. And, of course, check out more here on Grant's Rants. If you like this recap, please let me know. And my thanks to Monty. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This has been Grant's Rant Small Talk. Real Housewives of New York City Rundown. Want more? Join the full conversation on Grant's Rant Hollywood Talk podcast.